So this has to be the coolest feature I've ever seen in a sneaker ever. You slide your foot right in, the shoe detects the presence of your foot, and it slightly tightens itself up to give you a comfortable fit so you are ready to rock. It's like sliding your feet into a pair of sandals, but all the stability and protection and comfort of a sneaker. It's wild. What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me today. My name is Steve, and if you haven't already, consider joining the family. Hit that like and subscribe, of course. And today we are talking about the Nike A.D.A.P.T Auto Max, and it is the first iteration of Air Max combined with the A.D.A.P.T self-lacing technology. And really, I just have two questions for this sneaker. Is it worth the $400 that it costs? And is it practical? Can you use it in real-world situations like running? Let's take a closer look. Alright guys, welcome back, and now that you've seen a closer look of the sneaker, you probably feel one way or the other about it. I think this design, unlike the first iteration of the A.D.A.P.T BBs, this design tends to be a little more polarizing. It's got a very chunky look to it, and it's definitely not a light shoe, and I think in certain colorways it looks better than others, but overall I think people either love it or they hate it when they look at the shoe from an aesthetic standpoint. And for me personally, I'm into things that are a little different, but not too different. This to me kind of straddles that line nicely. It strikes a nice balance between being different, but not being over the top just for the sake of being that way. So I dig this colorway. Now, this particular one with this kind of infrared orange going on here with the silver, it's kind of like the Pure Platinum-ish colorway here. I don't like this one as much as the other release that released before this because it had the gum sole and it looked a little bit more like the Air Mags. It kind of had a little bit of an Air Mag colorway. That one was money, and I couldn't get my hands on that one. I was able to snag these. There is an anthracite one that just dropped as well. Looks really sharp in the darker hues and much more streamlined look. So you don't have this like very contrasty color blocking happening here. It's definitely more of a streamlined look, and I think that will suit more people's eye as well. But from an aesthetic standpoint, that's one thing, right? That's pretty much all sneakers. I'm more interested in whether this shoe really makes sense. You know, the A.D.A.P.T technology is not new. It's been around for a few years now. And for those that are uninitiated, so essentially what you see right here is the lacing system. And there's a little button right here that you can press, and the shoe, as you can hear, will tighten itself and hold your foot into place just like pulling strings on a shoelace. But what makes this great is that it has a lot of applications as far, you know, aside from just being technology and cool in 2020 in the future. People with disabilities, people with arthritis, things like that, those types of people are able to lace their shoes much easier with a system like this as opposed to old school shoelaces. So that's really cool. I think that's probably the coolest thing about this. But also, let's talk about how fun it is. It's just cool to hear a shoe whir and tighten up, and you feel like you're now in the world of Marty McFly. For those of you that are old enough to remember Back to the Future, I feel like a lot of the viewers only know that as the Nike Mag shoe, the movie associated with the Nike Mag shoe. I grew up watching those movies. I'm not quite as old as when the movies came out, but I grew up watching them as a kid because they were so popular. And that was definitely one of the coolest things you'd ever seen. Shoes that self-lace. And it was just kind of like, all right, that's cool, that'll never happen. And then it happened. And so here we are now with an Air Max version. And I think I like this Air Max application maybe better than the basketball application. I think there's enough going on with this upper to make it a little more interesting than the first iteration of the A.D.A.P.T BBs. And then the second iteration of the A.D.A.P.T BBs are there's a lot going on with those. I don't know. I find myself more drawn to this silhouette as opposed to the BB A.D.A.P.T silhouette. Now keep in mind there was also other silhouettes with A.D.A.P.T technology incorporated into them, but I'm really just talking about those two as those are the two I've had experience with. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. That's the fact that these are retailing at $400. Now, the Dior Jordans are retailing at $1,200 or whatever, or some crazy price, but that's like hype, luxury fashion nonsense. There is a little bit more justification in this price point being $400 as opposed to those, but the fact remains, it's still an Air Max shoe that they're asking $400 for, so it's like, okay, what am I getting for $400? Well, part of that is the early adapter tax, right? So if you're someone that likes to buy the latest tech or the latest whatever, you're going to pay a little bit of a higher price up front than, say, down the line when those items are more accessible and more cheaply produced. So that's part of the cost of being $400. So why would you spend $400 now as opposed to waiting a few years and maybe getting these shoes, new versions of these shoes, for cheaper? That's up to you. I certainly plan on buying more A.D.A.P.T shoes over the coming years, especially if they start going into the 300 range and then into the 200 range. And you never know, guys, we could be living in a time in the future when A.D.A.P.T Air Max running shoes are, $175. Who, you never know. But of course, with inflation and things, it's hard to tell. But the fact is that, yeah, this technology is going to get cheaper over time. But if you are an early adopter type person, if you like having the latest and greatest, I don't think 400 is crazy. I also think 400 is steep. So aside from it being just a cool technology, it also kind of has to perform. Whether that means walking, being comfortable, wearing it out as a fashion statement, or actually maybe running in sneakers like these. Like, what does it feel like to actually run in these? So let's talk a little bit about running. I will say that this isn't going to win any awards for running, especially in the weight category. This is a heavy shoe. It looks very chunky, as you can see. And really, though, it's not as of a chunky midsole as it appears to be on the exterior. Your feet do kind of sit a little bit lower, but you are sitting right on top of a very big air bubble here. And that air bubble provides a nice, firm support system that's very different from a lot of what we're used to now with the introductions of Ultra Boost and React Foam. This is not a foam-based running system, so it's not going to be that springy, cushy type of feeling that you're used to with an Ultra Boost or a React Foam-based sneaker. This is definitely more of a firm foundation, but I don't think that's a bad thing. I think a little bit of a firmer support system is better for the long term. Now, the counteract to that is that these are not very light shoes, so a long-term run, they might weigh you down a little bit, but nothing drastic. It's not like you were running with ankle weights or anything like that. I just wanted to point out that they're heavy, but they also provide really nice support all through here. But what's very interesting, and you can kind of see it in the sole here, there's a big drop off. And so when I lean forward, you can really feel all your momentum building onto this platform here, and it kind of creates a feeling of imbalance. And I don't know how comfortable toe striking will be for a long time with this, substantially thinner and smaller portion of the midsole and outsole. I mean, right about here, it gets thin, and you can actually tilt your feet forward and really feel the momentum shift onto this smaller platform. There's a lot of beef back here, and maybe they could have done with beefing up the front a little bit more, but then again, that might create more of a toe striking running posture, and it might be better off for you in the long run. As far as casual and everyday use goes, this is a fantastic shoe. When I showed you at the beginning of the video, you just sliding your foot in and this shoe detecting it, and I'm guessing it detects that via the pressure being put on the midsole. It detects it and it slightly tightens up, not crazy tight, just enough to get you nice and snug and fit, and you can just walk right out the door and go on about your day. I mean, that's almost like sliding on a pair of sandals and going on about your day, but you have the protection and the comfort and the stability of a sneaker. That to me is fantastic. That's like, you don't even have to bend down if you have a long shoehorn like I had in the video. You can just slide your feet in and you're gone. That's great for casual use, for everyday use. I love that aspect of this sneaker. And as a fashionable sneaker, as a statement for a fit or whatever you're gonna wear it with, it definitely stands out, and it's definitely big, and you might run the risk, if you're a person with a smaller frame, of looking like you got some big old boat shoes on and not the types that you wear out in Nantucket. I'm talking about clown shoes. These things are big. It's just a big shoe. That's something to keep in mind. Definitely something you want to look in the mirror and judge for yourself. You don't want to look like you're walking around wearing dino stompers like those Fila shoes, right? So overall, guys, is this worth the $400 price point for what it does for you and what it has in terms of features? That's really more of a personal question, but in my honest opinion, being a guy that is not just into sneakers, but also very much into personal finance and investing, that's a price point I can't quite get with right now. As time goes on and the A.D.A.P.T shoes become cheaper, then I will seriously consider making a purchase or maybe multiple purchases of A.D.A.P.T shoes in the future for whatever type of use, whether it be casual or athletic. I'm really interested in seeing how performance sneakers with this technology evolve over time, because I think there are so many cool applications and so many cool scenarios where this technology does make a lot of sense for convenience, for comfort, for health. For me, it's a pass right now. I'm gonna send them back, but in the future, I look forward to getting my hands on a more fairly priced pair of A.D.A.P.T sneakers, whether that be Air Max, basketball, whatever. I very much look forward to getting my hands on that future pair, whatever it may be. But hey, if you got the money and you can spend it, go for it. It's a fantastic looking shoe, and the colorways are getting better and better as time goes on, and you can probably get them for a little bit cheaper on the secondary market because there isn't a crazy amount of hype built around these shoes at the current moment. And that does it for me, guys, on this episode where we talked about the Nike Automax A.D.A.P.Ts, and all in all, very cool sneaker. I love the technology. I think we're moving in really cool directions in terms of technology and sneakers and what the future has for us. And I think it's cool and fun to embrace that and not want to just stick with all the retros and things like that. So let me know what you think of these sneakers down in the comments below, and I will respond to all your comments, guys. I very much appreciate your engagement, and I so appreciate the likes, the subscriptions. I think we hit 1,100 followers recently, which is mind-blowing. The goal is now 10,000, so I hope you will join me on this ride. Hit that like and subscribe. Click the bell so you're notified when the next video drops. I very much appreciate your time. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you have a good day, good evening, good night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.